What's up, y'all? Welcome to Blak's Beastiary. Well, today we will be focused on, a subject closer to home for me, the Fouke monster, or the Beast of Boggy Creek. Now, I've heard a lot about this growing up, and I did a lot of research on it as well. So let's start with a brief description on this creature. The Fouke monster, or Beast of Boggy Creek, or the Boggy Creek monster, as it is sometimes referred to, is a Sasquatch-like creature said to haunt the network of creeks extending from the Sulphur River bottoms in southern Arkansas to the small town of Fouke. Now, this all takes place in southwestern Arkansas, on the border between Arkansas, Texas, and Louisiana. And I mean, it's some interesting stuff, y'all. Now, over the years, the creature has been seen by countless people, including respected citizens, experienced hunters, famous musicians, and even police officers. It's inspired several movies, most notably, The Legend of Boggy Creek from the 70s, which became a drive-in sensation, netting nearly $25 million during its run. Now, that's pretty good run, y'all. I mean, the newspaper accounts of the early 1970s may have brought the creature to worldwide fame, but sighting reports didn't stop after after Hollywood moved in and did its thing. Now that tells me something right there, y'all. Now, near the small town of Fouke, southeast of Texarkana, people are still reporting encounters with this mysterious creature even today. Now, the Beast of Boggy Creek will always be a standout among America's spooky legends and, like cryptid stories due to this movie fame, its continued popularity, and even the modern sightings associated with it. The creature is often mentioned on television documentaries, including, Monsters in America, Finding Bigfoot, Mysteries at the Museum, Monster Quest, Lost Tapes, and even Weird Travels. But if you visit Fouke, Arkansas, just remember to keep an eye on the woods just as the sun begins to set, because you never know when you might see the legendary Beast of Boggy Creek. Now, I'm going to get y'all a little bit of a backstory on this creature. Alright, here we go, y'all. Fouke in Miller County is a small town in southwest Arkansas that attracted attention in the early 1970s when a resident of Texarkana, also in Miller County, reported being attacked by a mysterious creature there. A reporter from the Texarkana Gazette wrote an article about the events, and from that small publication, a legend was born, revolving around this creature. Fouke and its monster became famous and were featured in a 1973 movie. Now, in May 1971, Bobby Ford reported to the Fouke constable that he was, and I quote, attacked at the house by a hairy creature that breathed heavily, had red eyes, and moved very fast. Now, Ford said the man-like creature, which was about 7 foot tall and 3 feet across the chest, put its arm around his shoulder and grabbed him. Ford broke free from the creature and ran, reporting that he ran so fast that he did not stop to open the front door but barreled right through it. He was treated at a local hospital for minor scratches and shock. Ford said that the being had been around his house for several days, and that there were other eyewitnesses, including his brother and a hunting companion. Now, Ford's wife Elizabeth claimed that she was asleep in the front room of the house when she saw a hairy arm with claws coming in through the window, trying to grab her. She also said the creature's red eyes, that it had red eyes. On the night of the attack, Ford claimed that he and his hunting companions were spotted. They spotted the creature, and the creature, I guess, spotted them at the back of Ford's house with the aid of a flashlight. They shot at it and thought they saw it fall. Now, the men started out toward it, but Bobby Ford ran back to the house when the group heard women screaming. Upon Ford's return to the house, he was attacked. The men shot at the creature several more times, but investigators never found blood. The sheriff's department searched the area, and the only things officers found were a set of strange tracks and claws, scratches and whatnot, on Ford's porch. Jim Powell, then a reporter for the Texarkana Gazette and the Texarkana Daily News, and Dave Hall, then director of Texarkana radio station, KTFS, went to Ford's place and found a terrified family moving out of the house it had owned less than a week. Now, why are you going to move out of a house that you own for less than a week without some damn good reason? Powell wrote an article that appeared in the newspaper outlining the family's alleged sighting and attack. The very next day, both the Texarkana Gazette and the Texarkana Daily published the same follow-up story. It contained the first reference to the name Fouke Monster. The Associated Press and the United Press International wire services transmitted the article to newspapers across the nation. In 1973, the incident was made into a low-budget movie known as The Legend of Boggy Creek, which perpetuated the story to an even larger audience. The movie, filmed in Fouke, is a pseudo-documentary thriller about the creature and the town, and it also stars some of the eyewitnesses and residents of Fouke, Arkansas itself. Reported sightings of the Fouke monster date back as far as 1946, when a resident reported to Miller County Sheriff Leslie Greer that she had seen a strange creature near her home. Sightings of the creature have been reported throughout Fouke history, but no sighting has been as famous as the one that gained national attention in 1971. Wow. That is... wow. No, that is some interesting shit, man. I mean, that's some really interesting stuff. Now, I live in northeast Arkansas, so I'm not there in Fouke, but just to be in the same state, knowing that this thing is roaming around in the swamps and the marsh areas and all that and whatnot, it's kind of creepy, because if it's there, it's not too big of a jump in thought to think, wow, it could be here too. And I know that there are things here, and, ladies and gentlemen, this shit is real, These things are out there, Knowledge is our best weapon. We need to arm ourselves. We need to, become knowledgeable of all these things, because at least, tell ourselves, what if it is there? There's been enough evidence of all these creatures and spirits and cryptids. All these creatures, man, they've been around, at least in one form or another, since before, the beginning of human history. Since before we started writing things down. We need to smarten up a little bit. And even just doing this little series is, it's teaching me a whole lot. Just even starting off just this first one, and I've been a fan of cryptozoology for like years, at least 2 decades. And at some point we need to ask ourselves, what if? What if? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I guess I'm gonna end this here. My name is Blak, and I hope you learned something. And if you didn't, I hope you at least enjoyed yourself along the way. Thank you, and take it easy.